I'm back, baby. I got new hair, I got a new baby, I got a new camera, spring has sprung, and this is a new Freedom Friday video. You guys have been asking about anxiety, so here we go. And welcome to Freedom Friday, where you learn how to free yourself and live your dreams. I'm Darienne, back from my very long vacay after having my baby, little Meadow Rylan. She was born on January 25th, and I'm back. I got a new camera. I'm really excited, and yeah, so today I want to talk about anxiety. I'm going to do a two-part series. Today I'm going to talk about fear and the thing that fuels anxiety and how I've learned to deal with it, because I have been riddled with fear in the past, and I have a very quick and easy little exercise that you can use. And then the second part, I'm going to do some EFT. We had a friend of ours, one of our freedom dreamers, Abigail, ask me on Facebook about how to deal with anxiety. She's also one of our rockin' empaths. If you are a rockin' empath, or if you're an empath and you want to be a rockin' empath, join the hashtag rockin' empath Facebook group. It's just hashtag rockin' empath minus the G, rockin', not rocking. Link will be below in the description. Anyway, I want to thank Abigail. I think I'm pronouncing your name correctly. She was from a different country, so hopefully I am. But I want to thank you for bringing up the question about anxiety and how you deal with it, how I deal with it. And I had a couple other commenters. I want to thank you again, everybody who has been subscribing and commenting and watching my videos. It's been insane. I've been on this long break and you guys are still like going strong. I'm still always going strong in the Rockin' Empath Facebook group, so if you want to talk to me in live, you know, in person, not in person, online, live, then you can talk to me there. But for now, let's get into the lesson for today. So I don't particularly relate to the word anxiety, although I have kind of been riddled with it for a very long time in my life. Not necessarily anymore, but I've always had a really big issue with it. And I never called it anxiety, I just called it nervousness and fear. So, which is why I've entitled this video, Turning Your Fears into Fuel. Because there was one thing that I realized with my fears that was really perpetuating it. And I really think that it's the core perpetuator, if that's a word, of anxiety. So it all starts with a girl named Darienne, who once loved singing and could never sing on stage because she was so deathly afraid. And she didn't sing until she was 24 with beer in hand and a little tipsy to take the edge off. That was the only way that I could sing on stage because I was super scared. So I had deathly stage fright. And what would happen to me, I would get like heart palpitations, my like hands would get all clammy, my voice would get pitchy and jittery, my knees would knock, I couldn't stand up, I would turn beet red, and I would get super high anxiety from my stage fright, from just the thought of getting on stage in front of anybody, not even getting on stage, just the thought of singing in front of people just scared the hell out of me. So years went by, and I would get on stage and people would be like, "Oh my God, you look so relaxed. you look like you're like owning the stage. And I'm like, I am dreading it the whole time. They're like, I'm sure all those nerves go away as soon as you hop up on stage. And I'm like, hell no, I'm still fucking scared to death the whole time. I'm like dreading the entire thing. I'm shaking. I'm like, oh, my mind's going crazy. And I could not shake my stage fright. And now, of course, if there's something that gives you anxiety like that, for instance, stage fright or some sort of fear that's coming up, the key for stage fright, I mean, they say to just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and by continuing to do it, you eventually gain confidence and you get used to it. And that is true. But for me, it didn't quite work that way. Years went by and I was still like, I would have to pee 40 times before I got on stage, just in the anticipation of getting up on stage. And now there's also other things that I know give other people a lot of anxiety, like stress and things like that. For me, this was what brought me major anxiety until I saw Tony Robbins on Oprah one day. And he was talking about, I believe, he was talking about Bruce Springsteen, okay? So he had a client who described her fear, and she said, I feel this energy come up from the floor, and it rushes through my whole body, and I am terrified, and I freeze. And then he talked to Bruce Springsteen, and he said, what's that feeling? How do you know that you're ready to hop up on stage? And Bruce Springsteen said, well, I feel this energy come up from the floor into my feet and all through my body, and that's when I know that I'm ready. That's the adrenaline. So what Tony pointed out was that they both described the same exact thing, except the woman named it fear, and Bruce Springsteen just named it adrenaline and said, well, now I'm ready. That's how I know that I'm ready. And so I started to experiment with that, and I realized that, you know, I would sit getting ready to get on stage, and maybe the first artist has gone, you know, the last artist is going before me, and I can kind of feel, I start to feel jittery. I feel the energy moving through my whole body. Usually what I would do, and I think that this is the key perpetuator, if that's a word, I'm just making it up, it's not, of anxiety, is resistance would come in and I would start to resist it. And I would go, oh no, oh God, I'm so scared. Oh God, push out all this anxiety, and I'm trying to get rid of it because, oh my God, it's gonna mess my voice up. Now I'm getting anxious about the anxiety, and I'm freaking out because I'm gonna sound like, oh my God, I need to calm down. You just need to calm down. And so what I started to do, that's what I usually do. And what I started to do was embrace it. I started to allow what I called fear to just rush through my whole body. I stopped calling it fear, so you can maybe stop calling it anxiety, stress, whatever. I stopped calling it that, and I just allowed it to rush through my whole body. I allowed the fear to become the fuel. And then I thought about when Abigail was asking about stress, and I thought about this in my situation, dealing with my fears, and how you guys may be dealing with everyday stress. Maybe you have a to-do list that's not done, and you're super overwhelmed, and you're getting all this high anxiety, and then you're trying to stop the anxiety. Maybe your body is getting this adrenaline rush to prepare you to get all this shit done. So maybe we just not question it. Maybe we just allow the fear, the anxiety, the stress, whatever it is, to just do what it wants to do, to rush through our whole body and allow it to become the fuel rather than the fear. So I want you to practice that, and I want you to let me know how that's going. For part 2 of the anxiety mini-series, I'm going to do some EFT for anxiety. But here's what I want you guys to do. if you experience anxiety of any form, like I said, I never called it anxiety, I just called it fear and nervousness. So if you have that fear, nervousness, anxiety, stress, whatever you want to call it, I want you to describe it in the comments below. Describe how it feels in your body. Describe what triggers it. Describe how it feels emotionally. If there's any resistance going on, do you wish you never had it? Does it create anger? Whatever, just describe it as best you can. And I will do the best that I can to create a nice little EFT script for you guys to follow along and really get rid of that anxiety once and for all. And maybe not necessarily get rid of it, but shift your perception about it and turn it into something really amazing, where I was able to turn it into a fuel. And I still get super nervous. I still get the high anxiety before I hop up on stage. It's always really a good sign. I still almost pee my pants before I get on stage. And I'm like holding in my pee before I get up there. But I have learned to turn it into a fuel, because when you're on stage, you really want to amp it up, and you can't amp it up being in the same state that you were in sitting in a seat before you hop up on the stage, where nobody's looking at you. You know, you really need to be this big rather than being this big. You need to be big enough for you have to energetically fill up the room. So that's just what that feeling is. And like I said, with stress and things like that, maybe energetically your body is just preparing itself to handle the stress, to handle the to-do list, to handle the 3 kids you got to take care of, to handle whatever it is that you're handling, the paper that you have to write. Maybe that's just your body preparing for it. So let's just start to shift our perception about it. And comment below the description of your anxiety, your stress, your fear, your nervousness. And next week, I will do an EFT tapping video to rid yourself of your anxiety once and for all. And I'll describe what EFT is a little bit more for those of you that don't know. It is a form of acupressure, somewhat like acupressure, and I'll describe a little bit more next week. All right, everyone, it feels so freaking good to be back. I love you all so much. Make sure you subscribe so that you can get these every single week that I post. Freedom Friday. Share it with everybody you know. Go check out my channel. There are lots and lots of videos about spirituality, about life, about being an empath, energy sensitive. There's all sorts of really awesome things, and it's a little bit woo-woo, but it's practical woo-woo. I like to make woo-woo super practical. So I will see you guys next week, and join me on the Rockin' Empath Facebook group. Join me on Instagram. Oh, of course. Oh my God, I didn't even talk about my beautiful Meadow Rylan enough. If you want to see a picture of her, she is all over my Instagram at Darienne Empire. So, and I'm always posting little snippets of my little munchkin. She's so cute and I love her, and she makes the funniest faces and she makes me laugh and giggle, and I love her so much. And I'm really getting into this whole newborn baby thing. I mean, I've been a mom for a while, but the newborn baby thing and then working, it's a little bit of a challenge, but that's okay. And I'm definitely going to have a lot more to teach about being able to stay grounded and put yourself first and all of that junk. So there it is. Oh, I love you all so much, and I will see you next week.